Hello, my name is Hervey. I'm just a normal guy, but I've traveled many paths on my journey throughout life that didn't always make a whole lot of sense and therefore did not give the best results. But I made it through, and I've decided that it is my responsibility to at least make an attempt to teach all that I can from my past mistakes and the ones from not so long ago. And I hope that this will help others to avoid making the same types of mistakes, and even in some cases rise above the results of your own mistakes, as I am in the process of doing right now for mine. You know, life is meant to be explored. We are supposed to make some mistakes. As long as you can admit your mistakes after making them and see your faults and shortcomings and make a willful decision to learn from them and work on correcting the thinking that caused these occurrences, we grow and benefit from those mistakes. Now, of course, if you're one of those people who are always looking for someone else to blame for your problems, then you waste an opportunity to grow and mature into a better person. When you blame someone else for your problems without reflecting on your own actions that might have contributed, you never correct the thought process that led you to those decisions, so you keep making the same mistakes over and over and over. Obviously, this is not a good way to live out your life. If that is a person's attitude, when can they change? When will they improve? When will they develop better habits? How will they grow? Trucking is such an incredible career to me. You get to see the country, both large and small towns, local historic sites that you would never know existed. I've seen wild turkeys for the first time, hawks catching prey. I've seen goats on the highway, big trucks in the river. But I've also seen the Grand Canyon and other sightings that don't really compare to what you see in an encyclopedia or on TV. Seeing the disaster in person that Hurricane Katrina left behind was another eye-opener. It was far more devastating than television was able to convey. There is an awakening of the mind which makes a person realize that you are limiting yourself until you force yourself to explore beyond your familiar surroundings. You realize that there's infinitely more to see than you can imagine, and for that which you can imagine, there is still more to see. But the most important view trucking gives us the opportunity to see is a close-up view of ourselves. We have all the time we need to really take a close-up and personal look at who we are, if we choose to do so. One of the things that I began doing when I got in the truck was to reflect back on the many experiences from my life. There were some positive experiences that I believe happened in part because of good decisions that I made. So, of course, I'm happy to take a little credit for that, but more importantly, I look at those decisions thinking about the big picture view I had at the time, because I want to identify the thought process I had behind making those good decisions. And I look at the negative situations in the same way. I try to see what was I thinking to make some of those foolish decisions which led me into or contributed to destructive moments. Sometimes it's too easy because I discover that I really wasn't thinking at all, which of course is another problem altogether. What I find in common in those poor decisions is not taking a big picture view of the situation before making the decision. Often when we fail to properly look at a situation in its entirety, it's because of negative characteristics such as greed, impatience, seeking immediate gratification, seeking material gain, being self-centered, rushing, lack of discipline, addiction, procrastination, and I'm sure there are others, but those are some common ones that I've seen in my life from listening to other people's situations. I see it in other people's lives. Most of these characteristics could be used in a positive way, in moderation, and at the right time. But when you get focused or tunnel vision and your mind is cluttered with thoughts fueled by either of these things, your decision making gets fuzzy because you are truly not looking at the big picture. And you are more than likely only thinking of yourself anyway. Things that we do in one area will have an impact on other areas in our lives, and most often in the lives of others. And usually the end result is not good. If I'm always looking for shortcuts, quality will be sacrificed. Too much greed causes me to take shortcuts. Immediate gratification means the decision is good for now without thoughts of the long-term impact on me or on others or on my children or on the community. Material gain is usually for the sake of measuring up to others, and it's an endless journey that produces a void. Whether it's for public display or personal satisfaction, it's a thirst that cannot be quenched. Selfishness says that you're more important than everyone else and everything that is around you. It works against building relationships, both personal and business. And relationships is the cornerstone of prosperity and happiness. So where does that leave you? Rushing can lead to compromise, equality, and taking shortcuts. Impatience leads to overreacting and experimenting with shortcuts. Procrastination will cause you to put off things until they are or cause an emergency. And addiction to anything makes you a slave to that thing, which means you lose control of your own life. You do things because you are compelled to do them, not because they make sense. Addiction is an obvious problem in most people's eyes, but we must be aware that even addictive behavior without the addiction can cause problems. Relationships, sex, food, drugs, and even driving can all produce an addictive behavior. There's a fine line between addictive behavior and being an addict. But the biggest problem is getting so focused on the term that we use that title as a crutch. You know, we feel like it's okay because I'm suffering from a condition, and therefore it's understandable why I can't control myself. And I don't believe in that. You know, when you develop the right mindset for the foundation of your thought process, you realize a lot of these conditions that they assign titles to and prescribe medication for is mostly centered around mind over matter. It's self-control. It's about discipline. Sure, when you seriously got addiction, there's some chemical imbalance there that's going to be created as a result from that addiction. But still, if you have a strong enough foundation from the way that you think, the way that you analyze information, it gives you a huge advantage in being able to overcome that addiction. But the most important thing is that you are proactive in avoiding becoming an addict in the first place. And that's really what we want to get. I'm going to try to identify some things that help you be proactive. Anybody that's around me at any time, you know, I'm always open to advice about how I can be proactive. You know, sometimes it takes a person on the outside to say something that's going to help us deal with something going on in our lives, because sometimes you're so close up on a situation that you really can't get the big picture view that you need to get. So I encourage you to be open to good advice and information just like I am. And some very good advice would be to always try to be a step ahead of having to deal with problems. You want to try to avoid, you know, getting caught up in these situations from the beginning. And you see, identifying these issues about yourself and seeing the negative impact allows you to address the problem and work on correcting it. This way we become a better person with better thinking, making better decisions for a better life. And that, my friends, is personal growth. Pretty soon you get off those gravel back roads, and your journey through life has less curves, less bumps, less potholes. Your average speed is a little faster because there are less caution flags. Next thing you know, you're on an open highway, cruising and choosing lanes to the left, passing by those who still don't get it. Now you notice I said less bumps and potholes. Don't be fooled into thinking that rough spots on the road will ever completely disappear. And don't forget that we're only human. And since we are only human, that we can always read the road map wrong and end up taking a route that we wish we hadn't. Remember, these challenges along the way allows us the opportunity to grow. I said allow because it doesn't force us to grow. If we admit to reading the map wrong or choosing the wrong route, we grow. If we say the map is wrong, we don't grow. We just keep choosing the wrong route. Part of why so many people are disappointed and depressed in life is because they think that life is supposed to be perfect. Especially with so much access to media now, we often see people at the top of their game looking like they're living well and enjoying the high life. We assume that their lives was a walk in the park, that they were either lucky or blessed or both. In either case, by comparison, the person who is seen in the spotlight on top of the world, so we think, can make many regular people feel they have gotten the short end of the stick in life, being treated unfairly, a victim of bad luck. There is two serious problems with having that mindset. One is this is not a positive attitude that will help face your obstacles in life. And two, the reality is often those we see in the spotlight has worked harder than anyone else to get there, and making many mistakes and sacrifices along the way, hopefully learning many lessons in the process. Once reaching the point in which we see them enjoying the spotlight where we believe life is easier for them, actually making good decisions becomes even harder. Temptations are high, and so are many of the people around you in many cases. And you are a target for people who are overcome by their own negative characteristics. And so your decisions are even more important. Those who reach the spotlight status without going through the mistakes and growth processes are more likely to have a short run in positive territory under the spotlight. And those who did not are not given tenure from the problems either. So you see, our thoughts of those people are just an illusion in our own minds. They are no more special, no more lucky, and are not living as easy as we all think. That is all the hype that is built around them, and that's just the general attitude of how people in society view those who are celebrities. And it's part of the problem why people are in such an uproar and disappointed when negative issues come to light from those celebrities. They put them on a pedestal, and then they are disappointed when they don't live up to their expectations. The point is, life for them is no more perfect than anyone else's. They will continue to face challenges and obstacles just as we will. No one is exempt from the basic principles of life. When and how we end up at our destination depends on how smart and hard we drive, but our destinations are not the same. We have our own journey to other places where the spotlight is waiting for us to shine, but not necessarily for all to see. Our glory, our happiness, our satisfaction should be based on what we know we are doing to make ourselves a better person, to make our families' lives better, to contribute to our community, to contribute to the world. We should base our satisfaction, our glory, our happiness that we feel from within on our own actions and not on a comparison to others. Now, if you know you need to tighten up, then just go tighten up. We have not been given the short end of the stick. There's no reason to feel envious of the accomplishments of others or depressed about the failures in our own lives, because every failure is one step closer to success. We can't judge our lives by what we see of another's, because we don't see all there is. But we can learn from what we do see if we so choose. If more people had that understanding of life, depression would not have the room to grow. Positive thought process deflects self-defeating and corrosive thinking. We have to look at the big picture. See, the big picture is like pulling out the map to plan out your route through life. The better we are at planning, the better the journey we will have. The level at which we become better travelers is determined by the lessons you learn along the way. We are not born with a map or routing tips for the journey. These are tools that we acquire along the way. Some of us get them early, others get them late. Some of us are still missing some tools. Some of us are tools. I'm probably one of those tools. An important one I mentioned though was a positive attitude. We all lose it sometimes, but what I'm saying is that a normal, natural thought process that we use should be from a positive place. But, relax, it's not too late to shift your thinking if you're sitting there saying to yourself, well, I don't think that's me. All you need is something that's called a paradigm shift. The way that you view the world, the way that you think. And changing the way you see the world, it's not as hard as it sounds, but it's a process and you have to be intentional. Breathe slow, breathe slow. Breathe in and out deeply for a moment. Slow. Okay, breathe in.
So that's what I got.
Breathe out slow. Hold it. Okay, now do it again. Breathe in slow. Deeply. Breathe out. All right, now pay close attention. Why is it so important to have this positive attitude? What's the big deal and what's the difference? The difference is happiness compared to frustration. I mean, you saw it in our look at celebrities in the spotlight, but everyday life is even more important. Look, we are imperfect, living in a world with other imperfect people, then we can pretty much expect to suffer from our own mistakes and the mistakes of others. And the sooner we embrace that reality, we begin to realize that it's completely necessary to develop a positive attitude. That way we'll internalize things which will occur in our life in the best way possible. This is how one person will withstand so many obstacles in life and remain sane, while others fall prey to depression after going through much less. This is how some people who have gone through so much more than one could imagine, but manages to recover and thrive in spite of his or her own past. People who develops a positive attitude helps their bodies to fight diseases and illnesses and usually makes better, more rational choices. You see, we're going to encounter problems. If you don't have that positive attitude, you're going to have a negative one. And if you got a negative attitude, then you're likely to feel like a victim. Why choose to feel like a victim? It will serve no useful purpose, and it definitely will not fix the problem. We have the power to choose how we will react to things that happens to us. It might feel good to wallow in misery. It might be therapeutic for 5 minutes or so. Any longer is just a waste of time in most cases. Some people feel the need to draw sympathy or empathy from others, but most people don't even know how to deal with another person's problem. I try to keep others around me feeling better than I feel. Besides, if they see me down, their reaction to my misery will only make me feel worse. That negative energy starts to drain on the relationship. Only good friends who are good people will have a natural reaction that is helpful in this situation. But still, that doesn't last forever before you get on people's nerves. Besides, sometimes there's no one to blame for our challenging moments. And if there's no one to blame, not even yourself, how are you a victim? You see, you're wasting your time. There's not even anyone to make feel guilty for what you're going through, which would also serve no purpose moving forward. But I'm sure you know just as well as I do people who are like that. The truth of the matter is, if you're searching for someone to blame and there is no one to blame, you have just created another void, a black hole, a slick spot on your path in your journey to reaching your goal.
Remains significantly popular. Now, this invitation from the White House emboldened.
That's why some people feel like they're going nowhere, no matter what they do. Now, this is an unhealthy state of mind. Your self-conscious is limited with self-defeat, which shows poor choices, depression, foggy thinking, being counterproductive, and even being counterproductive in relationships, and even choosing the wrong people to have relationships with. And this is all because their body is making attempts to fill a void. So you're moving faster than you're able to think. A victim of the unfairness of life. You see how that void is going to build up. And with that negative mindset, there are no solutions to closure. There are illusions that people chase, seeking closure, but you can't achieve closure that way. And that's when you see people end up in a downward spiral. They just do one thing after another, after another, and after another. And everybody around them says, I don't understand it. I don't know why they're doing that to themselves. It does not make any sense. But you see, it's hard for that person in that cycle to see what's going on. That's why it's so important to develop the right mindset in the beginning to avoid going down those paths. So I say we might as well start looking for the positive side of things in all situations, because there is one. We just need to find it, draw energy from it, analyze it, problem solve if we need to, pick ourselves up and then move on to the next chapter.
Which means you have to slow down for curves. Seriously.
Be in the left lane.
I remember when I first started driving, about a year after I started driving, I was an owner operator. I bought an old Freightliner truck with a little bitty sleeper. It was a 48-inch and it was a flat top. I didn't have the truck but a few months when I was traveling south on I-77 coming up on the toll plaza. After carefully evaluating the lanes, I determined that the far right lane, which was the only lane set up for wide loads, was the one that would be open first. And so then I could jump right back out there on the highway with the truck, losing the least amount of time. The problem was, after paying the collector my toll, my truck didn't feel like trucking. The transmission locked up right there at the toll plaza.
That was great.
The toll collector got mad at me, asking me why did I break down in the wide load lane. I said, sir, if it was up to me, I would not have broken down here in West Virginia in the wide load lane. I would have waited and broke down at the house. I was laughing, but he wasn't. Long story short, they called the tow truck. 2 hours later, my truck was in the air and I was in the cab with the tow truck driver on the way to the shop. I had been on the phone checking the prices, getting advice. The whole time I was waiting on the arrival, so I figured I needed a transmission, which cost about $6,000. And since the weather out, it would only make sense to go ahead and change the clutch and pressure plate, which came up to about a little over $7,000. I had already did my morning, so I spent my time in the cab asking about West Virginia and laughing and joking about nothing in particular. The tow truck driver was also the mechanic, and he had said that he would have to order the transmission, and in all, it would take about a week to get the truck back on the road if, of course, nothing went wrong in the process. I can't remember what I said, but I remember not being surprised because, like I said, I had already checked on all of this stuff as far as how much the cost would be. Anyway, as usual, I was talking, laughing, joking. The driver said, "Look, I ain't trying to be funny or anything, but do you have any idea how much this is going to cost you?" I said, "Yeah, about $8,000 probably after the tow bill." He said, "Yeah, that's about right. I didn't think you knew because you're over there laughing and joking just like nothing has happened." I said, "Well, the way I look at it, I could have been broke down in the middle of nowhere, causing the tow bill to be much more. That's one reason to smile, but that's a simple reason. Another reason is being depressed about it wouldn't change a thing about what needed to be done to get back on the road, and it would only make the entire episode worse, dreading how much it's going to cost. The job has got to be done, and that's the common sense reason. The third and best reason has to do with I try to practice whenever I'm mindful to do so, especially in situations like this. I try to see the glass half full instead of half empty. That helps me to keep a positive attitude." He said, "Okay, well, what's so positive about spending $8,000? I said, "Well, this is a used truck. Whenever you buy something used, you do so with the understanding that it's possible for something to fall apart, break, or go wrong. This truck has almost 2 million miles on it. I don't know if the transmission has ever been replaced, but I do know that transmissions and clutches are wear and tear items and that they are supposed to go bad eventually. What I also know is that once you do this job, that the transmission and clutch is something that I will not have to worry about for the rest of the time that I have this truck. Not only will I not have to worry or wonder when this will happen, I have complete comfort in having a reasonable assumption of how long I have before expecting to have trouble with it again. That is, if you're a good mechanic." I laughed, but he didn't. Anyway, I should not have to worry about the transmission or clutch, is what I told him, once this job is done. And so he said, "I guess you're right. That is another way of looking at it."